What if you could have a virtual assistant working for you 24/7, automating tasks, managing workflows, and scaling your business while you sleep? I've brought Dominic Norton, Mr. Hackathon, an expert in building AI powered solutions, to share secrets on creating your first AI agent step by step. You're going to be learning what AI agents are, the tools to use, the step by step process to building your first AI agent, and you're going to find out common pitfalls that you might run into. We're going to go through all of that in this video. And by the end of the video, you're going to be able to create your own AI agent for your business. And before you start building, there's going to be a link down below for the free guide to follow along throughout the video. Let's get started. Hey everybody, if you've been thinking about creating your own AI agents and you just don't know where to start, this is the video for you. We're going to be talking about how to create AI agents, what tools to use, and how you can be using this for your small business right now. We have an expert with us today. Welcome back, Dominic. How are you doing today?
Hey, it's great to be back again. I think I'm going to have another exciting time building with you.
All right, excellent. So let's get right into it. First of all, what are AI agents? How would you describe that?
I would describe AI agents as programs that are designed to operate independently to achieve goals. Primarily, when we're talking about AI agents, we are generally talking about large language models. We're generally talking about um, a lot of the innovation that's going on in the AI space today, in today's day.
Excellent. I love to hear that. And so, could you give me some examples of some people might feel like overwhelmed by hearing about AI agents? They're just understanding what ChatGPT is. Could you break this down, maybe what the difference is and how it's applicable to them?
Yeah, so ChatGPT is actually very generalized. Now, granted, the way they have it now, you can kind of steer it in particular ways, you can add some personality, and you can add some customization, but it's still very, very generalized. Like it's going to complete or try to complete any task that you give it. When we talk about agents, usually they're a little bit more specialized. So you might have an agent that is specialized to respond to customer inquiries, or you might have an agent that's specialized in filtering applications for new hires, or you might have an agent that's specialized in finding the most relevant internal documents for employee queries.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so now that we understand what we could be using it for, let's just talk about the tools right now. We're going to be talking about Make and how to use AI agents. Could you tell me a little bit about Make and why do you prefer using Make to create these AI agents?
Yeah, so in the no code, low code space, you have a range of different tools. So probably Zapier is probably the biggest, but you have, especially when we're talking about SMEs, when we're talking about mid-sized businesses, we're generally talking about Zapier, we're generally talking about Make. You can move into a space that is more low code. So the Make and Zapier are what we would call no code. So actually, you don't need to have any coding ability to use these. When we're talking about low code, I think you might have covered it a long time ago, but you have tools like autocode, and there's some other tools that you can actually you can code to and program and kind of build on top of it. When we start to go up in size of the company, usually large enterprises are using Microsoft. So they're going to be in the Power Platform ecosystem, but they're all relatively the same. They help you automate software. I believe Salesforce, you have PipeDream up there. There's lots of different tools. I use Make because I'm very, very familiar with Make. Um, been using it a long time. Though I do a lot of different experiments with Make, and the free version is very, very generous to me. Uh, love Zapier too. Done a lot of work with Zapier, but I've become very, very accustomed to Make. It is a good balance for me on flexibility on building, but also there is some constraints. I felt like Zapier, there's a little bit more constraints than Make, which is why I choose Make.
I love it. And for practicality, I'm always looking at brass tacks. How much is these different platforms? especially like you mentioned,
Yeah.
what platform is generous, what can you do? I would always look at the different things. So Make is what, 1,000 operations per month, 10,000 for $9. If we're looking at Zaps, we're looking at, let's see, unlimited Zaps, two-step
Mhm.
Zaps. So they've changed their pricing a little bit
Yeah,
too, their structure.
they've changed it
Probably,
within maybe a year or two.
yeah. It looks like they're trying to be a lot more competitive
Yeah.
with the other automation tools, because I remember they were really strict on the Zaps and everything, and people were just getting killed by that. Um, so I guess the difference is the premium apps and what they consider premium and not.
Yeah.
And then also to webhooks, so you could do a lot more custom things if you're at the professional level. But that's pretty interesting that they're really trying to be competitive even on their free tier.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to come down to technically what are premium, and some of these premium might be the basics of what you need
Yeah.
as well and make. So
Yeah. So we
depends
can
on
see
what you're using it
there,
for.
if you go back to that Zapier page, you can see there Facebook, Shopify, a lot of the huge platform, LinkedIn ads, and the huge enterprise platforms are premium apps. But also they have their own. So if you scroll back up, they have their own AI by Zapier, and they have their own tools, and their own tools are pretty good. I do actually really like the tools that they have built internally that they call premium. So they Zapier is still a good option. I'm just more familiar with Make, and also it's just been more flexible for me. And I do a lot of experimentation, a lot of tutorials, and it's just been a lot very flexible for me.
Excellent. All right. So, and if people are interested and you want to hear more about Zapier versus Make, or talking about other things like active pieces, whatever you'd like, in Pipe Dream, let us know in the comment section down below. But let's get started. We're going to dive into Make, and we're going to be start building out AI agents.
Mhm.
So, as we look at this, Dominic, do you want me to drive, or do you want to share your screen and we
Uh,
go through it? What would you
maybe
like?
I'll go ahead and share my screen. Maybe if while I'm sharing the screen, is there a use case that we want to build for?
Great question. So I would be looking at, for creating an AI agent for small businesses, I would look at two different things. Number one, dealing with customer service,
Okay.
or what I would probably do is inquiries. They're getting a form, and then they're looking to create either a custom response, either in
Okay.
a draft in an email, or just a custom response sending it back to a person. So, customer service or replying for inquiries would probably be the ones for small businesses we would focus on.
Okay. No, we can do that. So I'm just gonna log in. So when you log in, you will see a dashboard. Hopefully it comes up. You'll see a dashboard just like this. On the free plan, you can only have two active scenarios running at once. As you can see, I have one running right now. It doesn't need to run right now because I don't think I'm using it. Um, but that means basically you don't, in this kind of tutorial, this walkthrough, you're going to see me pressing a button so it can listen to any new form entries. But really, you don't need to do that. If you just set the scenario as active, you never have to look at it again, technically. We have operations. When Doc went over the pricing plan, he spoke about operations. You can see 1,000 operations here. We'll talk a little bit about operations and what that means in terms of a workflow, or what it's called in Make is a scenario. So we're going to build out our scenario right now by going to scenarios, hitting create a new scenario, and it will present us with this dashboard to create a new scenario. Now, I want to give it a name. Let's just say form response. And I want to create a form. So I'm going to use Google Forms. But before I do, what you can see here is what's called modules in Make. I'm not sure exactly what it's called in Zapier, but all of the platform, all of the automation platforms kind of had this software by default. So you might be familiar with Typeform or Notion or Telegram, and you have all these different modules that you can create in an automation, and you can do really creative things. Some of them are default software, but some of the modules are a little bit different, where you can control the flow, you can add routers and conditional routes. So to say, hey, if the user has hit this drop down that says they're a business that's between the size of 1 to 10, do this path. If they are larger than 11, do this path. You can manipulate data and aggregate data. We can do creative things with text. We can also extract text and do lots of creative things. I think those are advanced. When that's not the purpose of like today's walkthrough or tutorial, but just showing you some of the features and functionalities that you have available. So what we're going to do is I am going to go to, hopefully this is the right account, Google Sheets. Oh no, not Google Sheets. I want to go to Google Forms. And we want to create a form doc. So I'm not sure in the template gallery there's one, but maybe if we spend like 2 minutes creating a very, very basic form. Have we got maybe 3 questions that we want to add to our form?
Yeah, I would probably say first name, email.
Uh,
And as Dominic's doing that, you see how he's adding it and he's just having it as a short answer and then required. And then here we could probably have like, what are you struggling with? And it's like multiple choice or something like that. Um, and then I would probably have like multiple choice. One would be like, I need assistance right now.
so
Yeah.
let's say, I don't know, automate marketing,
Yep.
sales, operations, and maybe one more, I don't know. And you said what the last one? What should the last one be?
No, those are
Okay.
I like those. I like those.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Nope. I would keep it simple, just like that.
And we're just going to give it a basic title, form response. So now we have the basics of our form. Let me just refresh this. See if it, yeah, it updated the name. We had the basics of our form, and what we want to do now is go back to Make and connect this form to Make. So usually the first module is a trigger module. So the trigger module is a module that kind of kicks off the workflow. So that could be, if we take a look at, let us type in forms or Google. So we scroll down, need to find it. Okay, watch new responses or watch responses here. So you can see it triggers when a new response is received. So anytime a new response comes in, that's going to trigger the workflow. So anytime someone completes the form, it's going to trigger the workflow. And immediately I can do that. Because mine's already connected, there's a whole process that I can't go through, but you would create the connection between your Google account and Make, go ahead and sign in with Google, and it creates that connection between Google and Make. And what that does, when I go back, it just allows you, if I, let's see, RES, Okay, that should be our form. And we can just test this by hitting OK. And
So
you can,
before, were you searching for the form just there? What was happening?
I was searching for the form just then. I think in their legacy version, so we can actually remove that. In their legacy version, potentially it was just a drop down.
Gotcha.
So in some of them, it is just a drop down, but there I was just trying to find where the form is. So we just see, yeah, right here you can see, hey, in the legacy version, it's just a drop down.
I see, I see, I see, I see. Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Sorry about that. All right. Makes sense.
So I just want to go back here. Response. A lot easier with the drop down.
Yeah. So and now it has to be watch responses is the new one.
Yeah. So it
Interesting.
always, whether it's Google Forms or whether it's Tally or whether it's Typeform, or really it doesn't matter what the kind of module is. If you want it automated, it's probably going to be like watch something with some kind of software. So it can be on Trello, it might be watching a board. If any new card is created, then it might kick off a workflow, or it's watching a server in Discord, or it's watching something to see anytime a new message or a new item is added, then it's going to kick off the workflow.
Gotcha. Okay,
We're,
makes sense.
we're just going to test this by hitting run once. And what I want to do is just add an entry to my form. So I'm just going to, and we have email address twice, so we need to make an adjustment there. But I'm just going to add it for now. Say marketing. Okay, great. I'm just going to remove this one. We can see our responses there, but what we really want is to see it get picked up here. So we can see, what is your email address? Oh, I might have removed that. The email address is here. What are you struggling with? Marketing. What is your name? Dominic. So we can see that there. Next, what we want to do is do something with AI, right? Like we have the information from the user. I guess we're taking this information in from our website, a form on our website. We want to, I guess, draft an email to send to them. Is that okay? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. And I think it's yeah, just it's up to you. I think would be
Yeah.
helpful is a lot of times people get just stuck at like what should I respond back to or how can I do this quickly? So yeah, I think
Yeah.
drafting an email would be great.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things we can do here. We could add it to our task list. We could draft an email. We could notify someone in Slack to respond to this particular query. So
S-
yeah,
to me, and whatever thing that you want to do, I would do one action before doing several, but to me it would be pinging the team so people know like hey there's an inquiry and this is what they're asking about, and I think the additional one would be having an email account already have a draft email so the human can just quickly scan everything look good and then send the email. I think those two things would just streamline so many things in small businesses, those two actions.
so what we're gonna use, I know I've said Chip is like, I love Chip, uh, but we're gonna use OpenAI for this particular tutorial because it's a lot more popular. I think the difference with Chip and OpenAI, Chip is almost an aggregator. So you can use OpenAI's large language models, or you could use Google's large language models, or you can use a bunch of other large language models with Chip. With OpenAI, it's only their technology that you can use.
Gotcha.
And so if I can just get the right URL. So what I have here, I'm actually logged in into my developer account. And what I have here is the playground. So the playground is a way for us to test our prompts and test the output before actually putting this into automation. So I generally just test, hey, this is what I want to do, this is the output I want, and this is where I test it. Everything okay, Doc? Okay. So
Everything's good. This is great.
we say
I
we
thought I
want.
deleted something as I was looking at this. We're good. I was like, oh my goodness. No, we're good. We're good.
So what we have here is the playground. There's lots of really, really interesting things we can do here. But a system message is a message for the assistant. So you might say, hey, assistant, act like Donald Trump. The user doesn't need to tell the assistant act like Donald Trump. By default, the assistant is going to act like Donald Trump. And this is like giving the assistant a persona or giving an assistant a role. Or you could say, act like a CTO. You can say like act like a CEO. You can say act like whatever. But that's just a section of a prompt that you might put into the system prompt. So the great thing here we have with OpenAI is you can actually generate that. So it's saying, what would you like the model to do? So what would we like the assistant to do? So do we want it to generate a draft email?
I would. I would say probably, act as a customer service representative and draft a formal reply, something like that.
Okay. So we have that. And this is a super, super basic prompt. There's lots of tutorials out there about prompt. Well, we haven't created a prompt yet, but there's lots of tutorials out there about creating a prompt and how to instruct the assistant. Remember, when you're doing stuff like this, you're almost sitting in a developer seat, even though like both of our audience are focused to non-technical professionals, but you're sitting in the developer seat creating for a user. So you might be in your organization, let's say you're the CEO or managing director, you might be creating an assistant for all of your employees to use, and you have to like put that hat on. So we have it generate a system message. It's taking quite a long time, or maybe I'm just impatient. Okay. So it says, draft a formal reply as a customer representative. Is created steps. It's created an output format. It's created examples. Now this is a lot, and I think this might even be too much, but we're just gonna see. And this is the point of being in the playground. Is of no cost of us just to experiment right here. The other things or other variables we can change is the model. We can use different models, and different models will give you slightly different outputs. You can obviously see reasoning and stuff here. Response format. So response format is particularly interesting. If you think about, hey, let's take ChatGPT. I'm not sure if I have anything open here. If you think about ChatGPT, even here, it's just giving me like solid text back. But remember when I said you're sitting in a developer role? When we take a look at any application, let's see, conversational. So this is an app I made earlier, or we'll take a look at this again a little bit later. But these are individual cards. So sometimes when you're creating applications, you don't actually want just solid text back. You want like objects, what we call objects in like software programming or software engineering. You don't just want a solid block of text. You want, I don't know, here we have a name, the image associated to that name, the location associated to that name. So sometimes you want like blocks of data instead of just like a big chunk of data. Hopefully that makes sense, Doc. I'm trying
Yeah.
to
Yep.
think the most simple way. And this response format dictates, hey, you can actually bring back the data in a particular response format and not just a solid block of text. JSON schema is the same thing, but it allows you more granular control of the format. Temperature is about how creative it is. Tokens is directly connected to the price. So you could let it write a novel. Chances are we don't want it to do that for in this particular case. But the tokens, the more tokens it is, the more costly it will be for you. So let's see. And I think I'm going to have to adjust this prompt a little bit based on the form data we have. But I am going to say name. I'm just going to give the raw information from the user. And I say from the user, but in this case, the raw information would be from this form. So that would be like the user's input to the assistant, even though the user's not directly interacting with the assistant. So I'm going to say name, Dominic, email, put my email. I say concern marketing. And let's just see, and this is the point of the playground, let's just see what it comes back with. Are we happy with this, Doc? Is this okay for now?
This is wonderful. Now, so this is good. And I think what we're gonna do is this is so much detail. This is really good. Um, some might be at this point, some might be like, Dominic, I get it. Some might feel overwhelmed. They're like, playground, I'm a small business. Like, this feels way too much for me right there. What would be your suggestions if these are great options just to really curtail it to their business? Is there a simpler way to do it with this? Or I have another follow-up question. Let's start there.
Is there a simpler way to do this? And I'm just thinking,
No.
like,
You know what? So to me, this is just
I
me.
think what I
Yeah.
think what complicated what I just went through is this kind of playground and experimentation, because actually you can bypass that, but we want to make sure this output is decent, which is why I experiment in playground. If we wanted to bypass it, which is the next step for us, is the next thing we want to do is go to OpenAI and get our OpenAI module. We want to use create a completion. There's all these other things you can do. You can translate audio to English, you can translate audio to text and generate audio and do lots of really interesting things. We don't need all that. We just want to create a completion, which is just creating that block of text. Remember, you want to connect OpenAI, and to connect to OpenAI, you want to use your API keys. If I just go through, get this tab to get my API key. If
We'll
I,
make sure we edit and everything.
okay, yeah, to get my API key, I just go to my profile, API keys, and I create a new key. If I just say ABC, create a secret key, that's my API key. Now you want to save this key because this is very important. Like it says, you won't be able to view this again. You want to save it somewhere safe, just like any other password. But also, if anyone else gets access to this key, they can basically run up a bill on your account, and you don't want that to happen. So I don't think I'll actually need it in this case because mine's connected already, or it should be connected already. So what we want to do is select the method, which is create a chat completion. And this is like the simpler version that you said. I'm going to use this particular model. And so we need two roles, and I might change the model to this one actually. We need two roles. We need a system role, which, remember, that is the role of the assistant. Act like Donald Trump, act like Theresa May, act like Dominic Norton, act like Doc. And basically the instructions for the assistant. You could just say, which is the simple method, create an email draft acting like a customer rep. That's what you could say. That's still a prompt, right? Very, very simple prompt, but it's a prompt nonetheless. What we had here, if we go back, I'm not even sure if I saved it. No, I don't think I saved it. So we might just stick with what we had. Let's say, what do we put? Draft an email like a customer rep to respond to an inquiry, something like that. So we'll let that generate. But this was the simpler version that you was talking about. You don't need that long prompt. This will work. It's just the quality varies with the prompt, right? Next, we need a role. You always need a user role, and this is the input from the user. In our case, Make does something really, really interesting. Remember that we had the input from the user in the form? Hey, we can just grab the results from that input. So I would put a name, and here I can just go and find that answer. I can do email. And just grab that answer. And I can do concern. And just grab that answer. We can keep it, for this case, we could keep it at that, or we can just take it up. There's a lot more tokens that we can use. There is a token limit, but this should be okay for this use case. And what we're going to do is do another form response. So we're going to change it to operations this time. Hit submit. When this runs, now you can see we processed the form. Now we have an output from OpenAI. So we just take a look at this. Okay, operations, what is your name? Mr. Hackathon, perfect. So when we go to this, we can see the input. If we go to the input system, and we need to grab that email. So there is something missing, but it's taken the name, perfect, and it's taken the concern variable. Now, when we go to the output, which will be found in choices, then it'll be found in message and the assistant content. So when it's the user sending it to OpenAI or Chip or whatever, it's the value of the role is user. When it comes back, the response is assistant, just like you would expect any conversation. It says, "Dear Mr. Hackathon," great, it's taken our name. Hope this reaches you well. My name is, and it's created some kind of draft for us. Now, if we want to improve this output, what we have to do is change the prompt. You can see it's given us lots of variables. We might not want those variables. So in our prompt, we'll say, hey, this is the format that we actually want our draft to be in. Or this is what we want to include. Don't include my company URL, don't include my company name, or include my company name. It's up to you, but you have to steer the AI, or it will just give you back whatever it wants to give you back.
Excellent. Well, this is
That,
really good. And in my understanding, to critique it, that's where the playground comes in,
yeah.
or where would they be able to edit? Tell me more.
Uh, I like to kind of tweak in the playground. So, like to tweak and experiment, because actually, every time I do run it here, there is a charge. It's a very, very small charge, but there is a charge. In the playground, there's no charge. You're just trying to get it right and experiment. So name,
Oh, well, before we get there, real quick, could you go back to make for a moment?
yeah,
So they have this, they're seeing the outcome. Could you talk about, you mentioned it didn't pick up the email. How
yeah.
would they think about getting fixing that if they were in make?
So I just need to go and check. So you can see here that it's kind of in white because where I try to get it from, it's basically saying it's not there and it's here. So you can see here that this says what is your email address, but if we remember, I actually deleted that question. So that question is not existent here. So it's not going to pick it up. But this is a default, I think it's default of Google Forms where you can collect the email by default without asking what is your email. And it is picking that up. So if we just remove that, right here, respondent email. So I just click that and that way it picks up the respondent email.
Makes sense. Now you're going back to the playground. Why?
Just to tweak the message, to play around with it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time playing around with it, but just to get a better output. So
Mhm.
if we say sales this time, and I personally don't like this message, um, where it say, "Hey, could you provide more details about a specific question?" Now, something to if we added something to the form that says, "Hey, what question do you have?" It'll make that draft email more personal. But maybe we'll just leave it for the sake of time. We'll just leave it as it is because we have the basis. Um, Maybe the thing that I would tell it to exclude here is this subject line because I want to grab all of this and just place it in the email. So I don't need it to create a subject line for me. I just need the body text to be created. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So all I would do, and I'm not sure how everybody would do this, but I would just say, hey, exclude the subject line, and it will exclude the subject line.
So as I'm looking at this, and thank you so much, this makes sense. So if I'm in make, I'm doing all those things. To me, I would say, okay, the playground, I'm feeling it, I'm feel disconnected, Dominic. I see this in make, I'm following through this, this makes sense, but I'm feeling overwhelmed when I'm in the playground. You're
Mhm.
showing me the playground. Do I ever copy and paste things from the playground? Is that a totally different process? Could you walk that through?
We can totally do that. So what I'll do is grab this prompt. I can just grab that prompt and paste it right here. And I actually don't have to say exclude the subject line, because in this prompt, it's giving it a format example.
Am I looking at this that you just copied and pasted and put everything right there in the text content, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And do I have to worry about a limit? Is the prompt too long for it to max out and make? Have you seen anything like that?
It can happen, but it's in most cases, it's very unlikely to happen. And if it does max out, you can increase the number of tokens.
Nice.
So
Okay.
like the the max is directly correlated to the number of tokens that you're allowing in the request that you're sending and in the response. So it's directly related to the tokens.
So if I'm understanding correctly,
Yeah,
to get started with this, I would need to make sure that I have a Google form, so a Gmail account attached, so I can create a Google form. I need
yeah,
to make sure that I might be using ChatGPT, but make sure I go to OpenAI, create an account, make sure that I go there, uh, look at getting an API key, setting that up. Once I have those two things, the simple version would be getting the Google form to watch a response. I connect it. Then you had OpenAI, where I then gave a very simple prompt to tell it what I wanted to do with the data.
yeah,
But if I wanted to expand on it to have more specificity for my draft email, I go into the playground, I can really massage it, and I can put that into the prompt and make.
yeah.
Okay.
And
The Yeah, keep going, keep going.
so you might have a regular account, but actually, when I showed you the playground and the API keys, you need a developer account. It's super easy to sign up. There's no additional stuff you need to do, but you do need to create a developer account, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So developer account to do it. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay, so keep going, keep going. I don't want to cut you off.
So the last step is to send it to somewhere. So we can send it to Slack. We can send it to wherever we want to send it to be honest. But we're going to send it to Gmail. My Gmail is already connected. It could be Outlook. It could be, I'm not sure what other email provider, Zoho Mail or whatever. My Gmail's connected, but you would connect I don't want to do that. You would connect your Gmail. Who is it to? All we had to do is grab the variable from the first module. And that's the beauty of a lot of no-code tools. You don't have to worry too much. You can just grab variables and data from different places and use it in other places. What we want to do is a subject line. So we could either create another module that is specifically creating a subject line, or we could just create a generic subject line. Oh, I might have to. We'll see if this works. Thank you for reaching out. Then in the content, what I want to do is grab my AI output. So go to choices, go to message, and grab my output, which is content right here. There is a note I want to make. So you can see the limit we put was actually 4,000 tokens, and we've used 223 tokens. So even in the limit we put, we didn't even come anywhere close to that. And the max is way more than 4,000. And it's only increasing month, year by year. So we're going to hit that and we're going to run this again. So while I'm filling in this form, are there any questions that come to mind?
So as I'm looking at this, to me, it almost with make it looks like a recipe,
Mhm.
To get the outcome that I need to think about what ingredients I have to use. We're
Yeah.
using Google Forms. We're using OpenAI to be able to craft the email response. And then we need an output to where the email is going to be going. So I need to think about my provider like Gmail. When I look at send email, is it going to automatically send me the email or is it only going to be in draft mode?
It's gonna send the email, but let's see if we can choose create a draft too. So if we wanted to create a draft, it can create a draft and add that to a folder if you want that added to a folder.
To me, I if I'm a small business, I would probably do it as a draft first, but honestly, to keep it on rails, I probably just wanted to send the email
Yeah.
just because I'd probably be too busy or knowing myself in a small business, I would probably look at it and be like, yeah, send it anyway. So I'd probably just go ahead and do it.
So now we have all the information we want. It's not formatted in the way we want to format it. And actually, it's included a subject line, and I don't want that subject line included. So I am going to explicitly say do not include a subject line. The challenge with what I just did, and we will need some massaging a little bit, is that if we look at this output, if I just take a look, this output is just using regular text, even though we can see the spaces when it comes to like Gmail or software, it doesn't see the spaces. So I need to say, put it in, I think it's Markdown. Yeah, put it in Markdown. So I'm going to say, improve this prompt, and I'm going to say, exclude the subject line and put it in Markdown, and hopefully that fixes it. Notes. And you can see it's running super quick to run. And let's just say if it given us the format that we wanted, it didn't actually return it in Markdown, but it did exclude the subject line. So if I go back to my email, okay, excluded the subject line, it didn't do it in Markdown, and this is where I will continue to work with it to get into the format I want, but we have the basis of our email here.
I love it. This is great. So, and to me, if I'm looking at this and I might feel like, well, Dominic, you have the skills to keep refining it. What if I feel overwhelmed? I might just make it into draft and then you saved 80% of the work
Yeah,
of creating it, doing all those things, and then
yeah,
you can just go in, make a few tweaks, and then send it out.
yeah.
In follow up videos, if people want to see different best practices for formatting emails when we're going through Make, let us know in the comment section down below. But this gives you a really good picture of start to finish of something that's practical in your business to do. This is a really good example. And thank you so much for showing us. Yeah, I love to see
You
this.
mentioned about like not if people don't have the knowledge. Hey, you have a co-pilot here. So this is the free version of ChatGPT. I can just throw it in and say, hey, I want to format the output in Markdown, adjust the prompt to do so. And I just stop that, and I'm going to say this is a prompt. Let's see if it does it this time. Nope. I gave you. As you can see, I'm being a little bit more firm with it. Okay. Just taking a look.
And so is this the prompt that you would then copy and paste into the playground? Or copy
Yeah,
and paste it and put into, make right
yeah.
there as
So
the
I'm
prompt?
basically telling, hey, improve this prompt that I gave you. But right now it thinks the prompt that I gave it is actually what I'm telling it to do, not
Yeah.
if you get what I'm
Yep.
saying.
Yep. Yep.
And I might say, going to give, and it's probably going to say, hey, what's the prompt? Okay, share the prompt and I help it enhance it. So let's try it that way. Oh, sorry. Come on. Okay, so it understands that that's the prompt, and I'm gonna say, I want the output of the in Markdown. Okay, so it's giving me a prompt. I don't actually think this is a better version, but you would kind of work in the playground, work with ChatGPT, and actually I could go through and put this in Markdown myself. Um, and it's just the output format. But I think you get the point in, hey, this is how you connect modules and software. We could send this to Slack. We can send this to Telegram. I don't know where else we would want to send it. There's a bunch of places we could send it.
Yeah. No, but I think having this recipe and having this right here really unlocks the whole aspect of communication for the team to respond quickly. I'm even thinking you could do it with Twilio, or you could do a text message response too if you had the form of having their phone number. There are
Yeah.
so many different applications right there. Now, let me ask you this. Can you export this as a JSON file for people to do almost like a swipe of this sequence? Have you seen when people do that with Make?
Do you mean hold on. We can export the blueprint. Is that what you mean?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you
So
ever done that before?
a part of the certification, yes, but not. I've never needed to do
Yeah.
it.
Just something to think about, because I always think about if people are looking at it. Yeah, it's just I see when people are looking at, they're like, yeah, like Dominic, like that's great. I want to click less buttons. Like, could I just have that? So I'm always thinking about.
No. I do know what you're talking about. Like, can I, as Dominic or Doc, give them a template? Yeah, this
Yep.
is how I would do it. I just exported it, and then I'll put it somewhere for you guys to be able to use, and then you would import the blueprint. Obviously, and you import what I just exported, you would have to connect your own services. Something like this you could follow through easily. But I have, if I just save this, I have scenarios. Let me think. I can't find it. I have scenarios that are a lot more complicated. that it'll be a lot more valuable for you to just import it rather than follow through a tutorial to do it.
No, this is good. But I think having both, I think it's important to, I'm always thinking about recipes or blueprints to share, but I'm also always thinking about this is a great step by step so you can see the intricacies, how to iterate on ideas. I think this is super beneficial seeing through. See, now you're getting crazy. Now you're getting
Yeah.
crazy.
So stuff like this, you can see a bunch of like AI tech, right? I did a video on this recently. So this takes it from a Telegram bot. So I put the inquiry in a Telegram bot, and what is these are all fake, like fake Minister for Public Health and what else do we have here? Secretary of State for the Home Department and all these kind of political positions. And I put in a proposal, and they all like discuss and vote on it. You can do stuff like that in Make. There are really good. You have LangChain, you have Crew AI, but those are very technical. These tools are allowing you to do very similar things with a little bit of elbow grease, but we're getting there to the same point. So what it does is, depending on the proposal, it extracts the topic and it finds which path to go down. And then you have a router here that says, hey, I think the Minister for Public Health should be talking about this because it relates to COVID. So they should speak first. And obviously it summarizes all of it, and then it sends it back to the Telegram bot. And this is how you can begin to start to think about your workflows. Um, this, for better or worse, this is kind of where we're going with a lot of industries, a lot of automation, a lot of AI decision making. But the AI decision making is not just AI decision making. At the foundation of it is human decision making. So we have to steer the AI to do what we want it to do for our business and not just let it run rogue.
I love it. I love it. Dominic, this has been a great beginner's guide to how to use Make and creating AI agents. Please remember, as you're watching this, write down in the comment section down below, what are you planning on to use this for? If you're seeing something more advanced, like what Dominic is showing you right here on the screen, what are you trying to do for your business and for your industry that you can now automate and use AI agents? If you like these kind of videos and you want to go in a deeper manner with Make or other AI tools, remember, let us know in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe these videos, and make sure you go follow Dominic on his YouTube channel and on Twitter. Before we end this episode, Dominic, is there any other things you want to say?
So I did want to show everybody a method that I use that might be helpful for them. Um, so I don't know, is there a company that we kind of like? I, I don't know.
Like ConvertKit or something, or Kit?
Let's do ConvertKit. This is it right here, right?
Yeah. Top one. Wait, they just changed their name. Yeah. Switch it back. You see, this is the problem. Don't even get me started. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? Oh my God. Let's see.
Maybe
This is the problem when you change names, like with all of your branding.
I think for our case it doesn't matter too much.
That's
It
fine.
might,
Yep. Let's just use it.
let's just choose
I'm trying to
OpenAI.
give them a plug, and that's what happens. Let's just go with something else.
So here, and this is kind of my hack, and actually I do this for outreach too. Um, so I'll actually use this. This is actually Chip, but it is ChatGPT and Chip. So I do have an upgraded version inside of Chip. Uh, so I'm going to say generate. I'm going to say generate AI assistant ideas for the following role at the following company. I'm going to say the company and just copy and paste this. I'm going to say the role I'm sorry if you are watching this, but we are just going to pick a random person and grab your role. Okay, safety systems. Just take a look. Generate AI assistant ideas for the following role at the following company. I'm going to just say that use generative text slash. So you can see here that it's coming up with a range of different ideas for a particular role. So if you think about your company, you're going whether you have 2 employees, 20 or 200, there's going to be tasks that are done in every role that can be augmented with AI. So whereas you might not want an AI safety advisor, but risk assessment generator, hey, that might be helpful. Incident response assistant, yeah, that might be helpful too. Anywhere that you can, and even maybe a safety content creator. So there's going to be in every role a couple of use cases, and this is the way that it can be. Like, this is a way for you to be able to figure out, hey, what are the use cases in a particular role? Tell the ChatGPT or tell Claude or tell whatever the company and tell the role and basically say, hey, I want you to come up with AI assistant ideas for that particular role at this particular company. So that's probably my
Wow.
my last thing. So this is
Okay.
this is my hack to come up with like a million of different AI assistant ideas in a very short space of time. I just ask the AI where can it be augmented, and some places are probably better than others.
I love it. So, you just leave with that bombshell right there of ideas, and now this opens up a whole other area of what could be possible with AI assistance in different areas. So you're going for very practicality of customer service, all these things, but Dominic is really showing you expanding your mind, what could
Yeah,
be possible and what you could be doing with the same type of systems. Thank you so much for showing us.
no problem.
Well, this is great. So again, if you want to see more advanced techniques with AI agents with Make, if you want to see more videos following up on very specific things to get you started, let us know in the comment section down below. We'll see you in the next video.